Okay, I think it's now official, well, almost official, that the Patriots will not be in the playoffs this year. However, incredibly, the league is so dysfunctional this year, I don't believe they're 100% out of it mathematically, somehow. Still, I think we need to consider continuing our discussion about looking ahead to the 2024 offseason and the 2024 NFL Draft. If you've been following my coverage over the past few months, you will know that this draft should be loaded with talent, and that should allow the Patriots to fill in some major holes in their roster and possibly upgrade some lagging positions. In fact, this draft class could be so deep, you'll have an opportunity to grab someone surprising at the UDFA talent. I mean, even after the draft is over, there might be some guys you might be able to add to your 53-man roster and revamp the practice squad. It's a major opportunity this year. So I will stress it is important to take advantage of this draft for the sake of starting anew and also avoiding repeating and approaching pitfall that we need to talk about. Let's revisit one of the more unavoidable issues, near term at least, free agency, specifically the Patriots free agency. We have several key players that are up for contract this offseason, and a lot of them will be near the top of their respective positions for their draft classes. As far as I can tell, you got Trent Brown, Onwenu, there's also Riley Reif, you got Bourne, you got Hunter Henry, you got Gesicki, even Pharaoh Brown, so that's all three tight ends. You got Zeke, Will Grier, Duggar, Uche, Mac Wilson Jr., Jennings, Mills, even Miles Bryant, Cody Davis, Ty Montgomery, Trey Nixon, there's Tyrone Wheatley, and even Therese Hall. Now, some of those guys, not big needle movers, they're practice squad guys thrown there, but that's like 20 dudes. That's a lot of spots. Now, we know that we're probably going to bring a majority of those guys back, but here's the problem. The guys you're going to want to bring back, again, I'll point out, like Trent Brown, Onwenu, Duggar, Uche, Hunter Henry, are going to be at the top of their respective, for their position in the free agency. And even then, you got Gesicki and Pharaoh Brown are getting up there. Zeke is, maybe proven to, someone else that he can do something. He might get, some competitive bids on him that bump things up. Keep in mind, you got Anthony Jennings, who's showing that he's actually a solid player, right? That's just people that are probably going to look for to be, that could be or will be more expensive to bring back. So you're spending some money there, right? That's going to soak up that big cap that you have and some cash. And there's also guys you're just going to want to let go, right? It's like 20 guys that you don't know about. So if you don't know about them, you better be at least trying to figure out weapons if all of them decide to walk or none of them they're going to come back and you're like, you're not worth it, right? Or they're too injured or they retire, whatever. That's just that issue, right? That's just the hard pitfall that we're approaching. And there's also the fact that we don't have any elite talent on the team, minus technically Judon. Yeah, you would say like Gonzo's in there too. And I'm not saying like Duggar or Peppers or, Trent Brown are not, good, solid talent, and same thing with Hunter Henry. But point being is that there's also, everything needs to be basically upgraded, right? We only have a few guys that are really the top 100 players. Now, if we roll through the roster, we take a look here, there's a strong list of guys that I shouldn't say being worthy of cut or let go, but could easily be knocked off from where they are in their depth chart right now with just even some of the upcoming rookies. You're not even talking about going after major free agency, right? So let's talk about the obvious ones. You got Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi. Who else you got in there? At the wide receiver positions, you got Juju Smith-Schuster, Devontae Parker, Tyquan Thornton. Guys that are just not playing well this year, that if someone came in, could easily displace them. Gesicki. Yeah, I mean, I like Mike Gesicki, but he hasn't played amazing. I know that's probably mostly not his fault, but still, a better tight end coming in could displace him, especially if it's from the draft. Now, crazy to think about. We just drafted guards for what, 3 years straight. We've drafted guards. So you got he's been solid, but if you gotta guard. I mean, if there's a good guard in the draft that's better than him, you have to go get him. The offensive line play has been that bad. And some of it's probably not their fault, and injuries and the collective unit and chemistry. I totally believe that. But again, if there's somebody on the board at this draft, you can't be overthinking it. Like, if there's a better guy, this guy's good and he's there, you kind of have to do it, because we're at that point in our roster development. There's just turnover, there's injuries. Got to go get guys who can play. Even Cole Strange, who's looking better now that he's, a few weeks after getting off that injury, second year, things are starting to look a little bit better. He still has one or two really bad plays a game, I understand, which as a guard, you really can't afford to have any. So that's why he's still here. He's on this part of the list for me, which is guys that could be bumped out with a better player. Same thing with Mafi. He could be displaced by just even a 4th round guard next year if they're that much better. I still think they should be on the team and they should be developed to a certain extent, but they could be knocked down a peg. Cornerback. Brutal. I mean, Sean Wade's been out there. Miles Bryant's been out there. Jack Jones and J.C. Jackson have not been playing well. And on top of the off-field stuff. So there's 4 guys at corners that could be cut, released, relegated to practice squad, whatever you want to say. But definitely knocked down a peg very easily, in my opinion. At the safety, you got Jalen Mills, who's going to be up for a contract. Adrian Phillips, up for a contract. Right? And there's also Duggar, so there's a big problem at safety. But those 2 guys, Mills and Phillips, could easily be displaced by anybody coming in on the draft. I shouldn't say anybody, but like a mid-round pick could show up. And again, it's not coming down to like what they're valued at. It's just the fact that this upcoming draft has that potential to do it. Even at the linebacker position, Mac Wilson Sr., he's been playing pretty well. That he's given the chance that when Bentley's out. But again, if you go get a good linebacker in the draft, if you see some guy who's like, that guy's a good player, get him on the team. Get him on the team. Bump somebody out. We have to start doing that. We have to start diversifying this team. And I'll get to that point to avoid this pitfall that I keep hinting at. Chris Board. Yes, I know he's a special teamer, but he's an expensive special teamer that does no snaps at actual on defense. Now that goes probably to the Bentley and Devy playing pretty well, but still, like, shouldn't we have guys that are capable of coming on and off and giving some guys some breaks? What happens if Devy and Bentley are both out? Move on to D tackle. Daniel Quale, Jeremiah Farm, Sam Roberts, Godchow, Lawrence Guy Sr. These guys haven't had great years. Godchow shows up once in a while and it's kind of like kicking the can. It's like, oh, he looks good this week. He did pretty well. But then, like, 2 games out of, like, what? 8, 9, like, what are we doing here? And it's been multiple seasons. You paid the guy and the guy's been, like, gone. Now, I know that the way the defense plays, especially the D tackle position, they're owning the gaps. They're trying to prevent, there being openings so people can slide through. You're not going to get like all this penetration. Your D tackles are going to always rack up lots of sacks. I know that's the deal. And these guys get double teamed and this and that. So I know the stats aren't, but sometimes it's just like watching Godchow getting blown away by one-on-one with a guard that I don't even know the name. Just getting blown away. And that happens once in a while, but more often than I'd like. Now, another guy that actually, he hasn't had a great year, and again, this is going to the fact, which is, if you bring in somebody who's better than him, you have to make this move, which is Dietrich Wise Jr. He hasn't been great this year. It's defense and you're an edge player. Like, yeah, you have some responsibilities. You can't just always do what you want, obviously. But also as an edge player, like, get in the backfield, disrupt, whatever your guy in front of you is trying to do, you're trying to, disrupt his plans, right? Tackle's trying to block you for a run, you're trying to disrupt it. Just go. Third down, going for the quarterback. Get past the guy in front of you, disrupt the play. I mean, I hate to say it's that simple, but in general, that's what you're looking at. Those are responsibilities for that position. So it's not, if you're not doing either one of those things a lot and really creating a lot of consistent havoc in the backfield, we can't afford that not to. If we're going to actually affect the passing game, it's through edge rushers. Corners kind of prevent. Corners essentially give edge rushers enough time to get to the quarterback if they're good, and then they take advantage of big mistakes by the quarterback as well when they throw bad balls. Some of them are locked down and able to really smother people up, but ultimately, even your good defensive backfield is designed to give, nowadays, is designed to just give your edge rushers enough time to get to the quarterback. Because if they're that good and quick and fast and powerful, the edge rusher, it's a matter of time before they get to the quarterback. So we need to have both. We need those on both sides, not just Keon White right now. Thankfully, Jennings is showing up there, here and there, but Uche, no. Judon will help when he comes back, but we don't know even him with the injuries. But anyway, the point is so that's like 23 something guys, I think. They're not playing well and arguably need an upgrade there. But I will say, notice the number of D tackles and cornerbacks I said. Yeah, I know our defense is good, but there's also a lot of guys who are not playing well. So the defense is playing well not because of the guys on the team. I shouldn't say that, but I think people are underrating the scheming, right? How the general defense plays as a unit, how it's being coached, right? Rather than just the talent on that side of the ball. It's good. There are really good players on our defense. I get that. But, man, there are holes. Keep in mind, Miami's offensive game plan against us was just go after J.C. Jackson. And if your quarterback, you're sitting there and your wide receiver one's lined up against Miles Bryant, guess where you're throwing? See what I'm saying? So we might not have a bend, not break, but that doesn't mean the other teams are not going to drive the ball easily down the field when you have some big holes on your defense at corner. And if your D tackles are not really making too much penetration, that's an issue. If your linebackers are only there to stop the run and not ever get a pass rush, yeah, then you have some problems. Your defense needs to be more than just operable. You have some playmakers on defense, not just a solid unit. You need a unit plus some studs. Because if you have a good unit, you have a good game plan, and you've been practicing something, and that other team's offensive coordinator figures you out, you get. Well, I shouldn't say this, but that's kind of what happened against the Cowboys. They had your number that game, and the Saints had your number too. They figured it out. Now I know Mac didn't help out in both of those games, obviously, but it's not like our defense was shutting people down. Taysom Hill was having a game against us. Now, are there guys we want to see return? Or guys that we might want to see bring back because they've looked okay? Or, let's also add into this list guys who just really haven't had their shot to prove it on the field this season. That would be Will Grier. That would be Malik Cunningham. Also got Kayshon Boutte. Bourne, we might want to see a return. We'll see, depending on the knee goes. Montgomery might be another guy we bring back for a year or two. Jalen Reagor. I want to point out something about Jalen Reagor, which is, again, it's also kind of hinting at the larger idea I want to talk about, which is Jalen Reagor's in his fourth season. He's only 24. Right? Chad Ryland, 24, as a rookie. So people were like, I don't discount Jalen Reagor because he's been in the season. He's had some rough seasons. He came in as a young dude, still had development. If someone wanted to give us a guy who's got some talent at 24, I mean, this guy could have been drafted last year, and now he's becoming a seasoned veteran in the NFL. I'm not saying like he's some sort of amazing player, but I don't think you just automatically throw him out there. He's had some good blocks. He's had a couple catches here and there. Obviously, he had ball hit his hands. I can't say, but let's not, just throw him out there as somebody who's a bust or something like that. I think that's kind of ridiculous in many ways. Maybe overdrafted, but they were probably thinking the dude's like 20 years old. Let's see what he can do. Another guy to bring back obviously would be Hunter Henry. I think he's proven, but again, kind of comes down to what he wants for the contract. Another guy like that would be Onwenu. Again, I'd like to see him come back. Looks good. Kind of comes down to what he wants. Now, another guy that I like, and he shows some promise. He just has a few bad plays a game. I'm going backwards. Is Vidarian Lowe. Second year. He's 24 years old. Right? Give him a second. 24 years old. Marte Mapu, 24 as a rookie. Okay? Give it a second. Give it a second. These guys need time. I'm not saying he's going to be a starting tackle, but don't think that he's completely useless to you guys. Another good one that we signed. I mean, I guess it's because of what's going on with the season, but another good pickup is Alex Austin. I liked him coming out of the draft, and to get him, right, rookie, Oregon State, it's just, he would be, in some years, he probably would have been drafted pretty high, actually. I mean, obviously still day 3, but just last year's cornerback class was really deep, you know? Another guy to bring back would obviously be Duggar. I think that's obvious. I want to see him come back. I think the way he plays, he's exactly what you want on your type of defense. I just hope he's not looking for a whole entire bank. And another guy I'm still, I'm not huge on him, but I think bringing back Uche, if again, it comes down, same thing with Duggar, comes down to what's the deal? What do you want to come back? But I wouldn't hate him coming back. But we have to prepare for him to be gone. We also have to prepare for Dietrich Wise to possibly, Judon, Uche, and Dietrich Wise are all concerns going into next year for different reasons. Injuries, fading, and then possibly walking away as a free agent. So edge is a bigger concern than most people want to admit. And it's the one way we can instantly, no matter what, regardless, I'll go on it now. The edge, picking up the edge, that's a guy by himself can disrupt the game. The quarterback, the wide receiver, the tackle, some of the other tight ends, those are going to require the offensive units to all of it to be good for them to be good next year. Whereas if you get a shot at a good edge player and you need an edge player on paper, there's a demand for your edge player next year, you could be a better team by bringing that player in and not having to worry about other parts to be in place to make that person, an impact player. Again, a quarterback can't really be too much of an impact player if his offensive line's terrible. A wide receiver can't be an impact player if his quarterback can't throw him the ball deep enough or in time or en route, or if that quarterback's being rushed by an offensive tackle, etc. So you can see what I'm getting at there. Now, there's guys that we want to bring back, like Stevenson. Obviously, we want to bring back Elliott. I think he's definitely proven that that guy showed up when everybody else was looking like junk in the first part of the season. Demario Douglas, Pharaoh Brown's proven himself. Obviously, David Andrews would be another guy. Trent Brown and Connor McDermott. I think we should try to bring both those guys back. I think McDermott should be able to come back. I don't know about his contract now that he came back. We'll have to look into that one. But Trent Brown, if he asks for a whole bunch of money, we're in trouble. I think then we're really going to have to be forced to basically get an offensive tackle if we're going to pick in the top 5. Unless, we'll get into that later. But say we're picks 4 through 7. I think it's going to have to be a tackle if Trent Brown really, really wants to screw us over, and we have to let him walk. But McDermott, injury, preseason, then get a shot to play for us. He looked good last year towards the end of the year, and then I think he just got injured again, so I don't know. Gonzalez, that's an obvious one that we like. Jonathan Jones, Marcus Jones, hopefully comes back from injury. Peppers, not surprised. He's been kind of just long-term coming back from those injuries, but not surprised he's doing well. Mapu, gotta see what he can do. Now, keep in mind, that dude had a chest injury. Like, he had a torn pec. You gotta have, like, a strong pec to tackle. So I'm not surprised they're kind of keeping him on the down low until that really heals up. Tavai, I've been wrong about Jelani Tavai. I was hooked on the fact that I was not going to expect him to be able to keep up in coverage. And, with all the speed on the field and really his pursuit angles, he was going to be able to keep it up. But you know what? I discounted this dude's ability to, just have a nose and instincts and upper level IQ for football. So he makes his reads half a second faster than anybody else. And he's making his moves. It doesn't matter how slow he is. He's faster than probably to the ball than most of these super fast linebackers, because you can't make up half a second in reaction time in 10 meters or in 10 yards. It just doesn't happen. You don't have enough space to use your speed to make up for slow processing. Tavai is quick upstairs in his head, so he's reacting half a second quicker, right? That's more important than reacting and just reacting slower but being fast in the feet. You can't make it up in the feet. He's making it up, and he's getting ahead in his head. Bentley, McMillan, let's see what he can do. He's getting up there in age. He's been injured. I don't know. He might be done. Munson's been all right too. So yeah, him and Munson. So McMillan and Munson, why not bring him back? Barmore being solid. He's looking like not just kind of having that pass rush ability, but he's in there being operative even on the run. Judon, obviously want to see him come back. Hopefully that bicep heals up. Keon White looking like a good pick. Jennings showing up, finally getting a shot, showing what we knew, at least what I knew he could do. And then on special teams, Behringer's doing all right. I think Ryland's solid. Schooler's good guy to bring back. And Cardona, I have him because I don't want to be spending so much time on long snappers, but actually now I think about it, he was an issue with both punting and kicking field goals earlier this year. Kind of the reason why Ryland and Behringer had a little bit of a rough start. But that's like 24 guys that we really want. Even some of them are like free agents. So really, and some of those are like guys that might, that we want on our team. It's like 24. So half your team is guys you really, really want back. And you'd say like maybe a dozen guys maybe you want back. So there's a good chunk of your squad that's still like guys we're looking to either replace or are walking. But there's also a bunch of unknowns. There's Calvin Anderson. We don't know what Riley Reif's doing. Tyron Wheatley. Is Jake Andrews going to be a solid replacement for David Andrews? Isaiah Bolden coming back next year. That's a good potential boost. I thought he was going to actually contend for being not the starting corner, but maybe working his way at this point this year. He might be out there. He would be with the injuries, but if he was out there, I think he might have just straight out played his way into a starting spot. What's Cody Davis doing at the end of the year? Is Trey Nixon's shoulder going to heal up? Is Stuber going to actually develop? Keep in mind, he didn't really have a rookie season. He had, I think it was a detached hamstring or major quad injury. It was a thigh injury, muscular. Kevin Harris, what's going on with that guy? Azizi Hearn is a good athlete. He could be developed into something. Bledsoe, I know these are mostly practice squad guys, but Joshua Bledsoe for 2 seasons has been like, hey, this guy might make it on the team, and he doesn't. But maybe next year with some of the spots opening up, he makes his way there. Sokol. What about him? He's an interesting 20. He's 1 year in the league. He's 28 years old. Like, is that what we're doing here? It's crazy. Will Bradley King. That's a good pickup. That guy's a good athlete and was good at Baylor. He got drafted last year. I think it was a day 3, but I think he was drafted, not a UDFA. It's another guy that was a good pickup. We had Tristan Hill, UCF. He got drafted, several years ago, but he was like a second or third rounder, maybe. A lot of people had high hopes for him. Not that I think he's bad, but it'd be interesting what he can do. Anyway, next. I mean, look at this injury list. Unbelievable. I mean, we don't even know what he can do. I don't know what we're gonna do about Riley. I think you just gotta let him go. Just can't. He's too old. Calvin Anderson, don't know what's gonna be. I mean, we don't know what this is. It's obviously something wrong. I hope it's not a hematological cancer or something like that. I hope not. Lymphoma. So, before we get too long on this, what should we talk about? It's kind of moving into, like, again, this pitfall, which is, I guess, before we get off this page, I just want you, I can't spend too much time because it's going to turn into too long of a video. But I just want you to take a look at the amount of guys that are like in their late 20s, getting into their 30s, some of them being like still on their rookie contracts. And listen, I'm not going to say like, people say certain people are too old, but for a lot of positions, you lose the twitch in the calves and it's done. The foot and calf twitch is very much related to mileage. So how long you have been playing in age. It's just something that happens. It's an age in men, the calf in the bottom of the feet and just the connections, the Achilles, just that whole complex, gastrocnemius complex, Achilles, bottom of your feet, things just don't, the twitch goes. The strength in the thighs and the hamstrings and the glutes continue to develop, so you can still be a strong, heavy, powerful dude, but the twitchiness goes. So you become a heavier footed guy, a little bit more stiff. That can work for some positions, but not others. And you can do a lot to prevent them from becoming really bad. Like you can keep doing, training to be quicker, faster, stronger, even though you're not necessarily getting quicker, faster. But if you keep, developing it and keep working on it, you can maintain that twitch a little bit longer, obviously, than if you didn't. But we got some guys that are getting up in age where even if we do draft really well or we go out and get some free agents, we're rolling into the same issue that we have right now, which is 20 guys that are getting to like, are we going to re-sign you for a lot of money when you've only got like maybe a couple, like 2, maybe 4 seasons left in you, depending on your position and, no. I mean, Riley Reef he's injured and he started to be very slow. He didn't have the twitch anymore. I mean, we're looking at Juju Smith-Schuster is like, what, in his 27, 28 or something like that? What's he at? 26. Too many knee injuries. Too many concussions. Twitch is gone. Devontae Parker, never been a very fast guy, but once you start to really lose it, it's really slow and lethargic. I mean, that guy's making heel strikes on his feet. He's overstriding. He's striding his right. He's not pushing himself along. He's striding himself out. He's reaching while he runs. There's no pop left in the feet. Can't spring himself along anymore. So my point is that we're running into this pitfall of these mid-aged, I'd say middle-aged football players, in terms of their career, getting in their second half. Some of these guys still on rookie contracts, but they're already looking towards the next 5 seasons possibly being their last. So what I mean is, by the time we finally maybe get some good drafts going and we bring in some good free agent talent, we're already looking at a huge roster turnover again and again and again. And it kind of comes from the fact that we had some bad drafts. We're not seeing the growth from the drafts. We got 1 or 2 good players, maybe a handful. This year's looking actually pretty good, but 2 or 3 draft classes of guys just not working out. I don't think it's necessarily bad talent selection in so many cases. There's some injuries in there, some dudes just flaking out. I think that's totally true. But it's also not having, proper roster construction to aggressively turn over the roster quick enough and not biting the bullet on what needs to happen now. I mean, we're basically forced with it now, but not doing that earlier. Guys that you probably could have got away, trading them at trade deadlines for more draft capital, so we have more shots at possibly creating growth year over year. Some interesting problems in here. I guess it just, if we talk about it, let's talk about it again with going to the investment world. Right now, we're hoping that the rookies this year get better next year. Some of the guys from the previous rookie draft classes, hoping that they start to show some improvement. We're hoping some of these returning veterans still show up next year and still are just as good as they were this year. We're hoping that some make a resurgence. We're hoping. But in the investment world, you can't do any hopes. You don't hope something happens. You make the moves to prevent the loss of value, or you make the move to stop the loss of opportunity. You can get some free agents out there. You can get some blue chip investments from them. So you bring in a T. Higgins or Calvin Ridley. There's a few other guys out there that you can get, right? You can get your growth investment guys, your growth players from drafts, right? Every year you're picking up a good chunk of new guys that are growing. That's going to improve your team. So you're getting your very, very top guys that are the big needle movers that change your team. And you have the ones that are kind of filling in behind them, that are giving them the support, right? Developing. And maybe 1 or 2 of them turns into a really good player. But you need lots of shots on goal there. Now, also, I very much support on picking up those discounted veterans here or there. For example, Zeke. Very good. Pharaoh Brown. You can do that. Smart. You find guys that other teams have discounted too much, and they're better than that. But most importantly, we got to do this other thing, which is keeping your stalwart Patriots around. Those are your dividend players, your lifelong Patriots. I call, you can see them as dividends because they're good players. They know the system. They should be there. And they're giving the dividends of being reliable, knowing who they are. They know who you are as an organization and coaching staff. And they can instill the steadiness to the rest of the locker room. We've done that, but we're moving towards this pitfall where the guys you're relying upon now, they're going to be gone. Cody Davis, right? Getting towards the end there. We don't know if he's coming back or not, but we know. Let's see. Lawrence Guy could be done. Not that Riley Reef is a stalwart here, but Lawrence Guy's been around for a long time. Slater, we know, is basically gone. We don't know what's going to go on with David Andrews. So there's going to be a big turnover here, guys. You have some guys that are around that might be able to step up, but you're going to have to sign them. You're going to have to sign Duggars. You're going to have to sign some, Hunter Henrys, keep Anthony Jennings in-house, the Nwenu's in-house. Maybe you have to keep, just Trent Brown because he's just a guy you can rely upon. Connor McDermott, not necessarily the worst guy to keep around at this point. Guys you can rely upon. Anyway. So, I guess that brings me to my next point. What does this mean for the draft? And what do I mean by, this idea of getting as much as we can in value to avoid this pitfall? Let's get to a mock draft here. So Patriots are in the 4th. Still only 5 picks through PFF. I'll stick with that. We don't really need to get too much further. But being the 4th, we're probably going to miss out on Marvin Harrison Jr. You're going to probably miss out on both Caleb and Drake May. So we could use Olu Fashanu. You can use Verse Leatu. You can use Joe Alt. You can use JC Latham. Brock Bowers is obviously probably, most likely going to be one of the ones that will be there. Right? So there's a lot of those top end guys that'll be here. And there's a few more, right? There's a lot of other guys that we could still trade back. There's Keon Coleman. You could trade back and get those guys. Like I said, JC Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze. Even if you like Jerry Newton or Kool-Aid McKinstry, Cooper DeJean, Dallas Turner, Cameron Kinchins, Amika Ibuka, Graham Barton, Amarius Mims, Chop Robinson, Kingsley Sumatai is another good guy to consider. But all those guys are first-round draft picks, and I would say blue chippers. So you could still get, now I'm going to say, like, there's the really, really big frothy players, which would probably be Caleb, Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake May, Brock Bowers, Jared Verse, and Olu Fashanu. Those are your real top guys. And yeah, even Keon Coleman and Malik Neighbors would be in there. Joe Alt would probably be in there as well. It's really hard to separate those guys out a lot, but here's the thing. If we do at 4, it's kind of this weird, we're going to have some, what are we doing? Oh, start draft, sorry. See, now we have a shot at Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Now, let's make an argument here that if we look at Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't think there's a massive difference between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Keon Coleman. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is a very good player. But if I can get another first-round pick to still get a shot at Keon Coleman, right? If I can get even a first-round pick and say like a 4th for getting that, right? This year, a 4th this year and a first-rounder for next year. That's how you build a team. Being 4th, you can unlock even more value for building a team, because let's go back to this conversation that we've been having. The team is approaching a pitfall that we're going to have to do this whole reload again. And on top of that, we don't have the base we have. We haven't even established a rookie base of 2 or 3 drafts in a row of getting 3 or 4 guys out of the draft that will turn into something. We might have gotten one last year and some remnants from the other ones, but we need like this draft and the next draft and possibly the next one of solid, like getting 4 to 5 really good. They don't all need to be big needle movers, but your 4th rounder needs to act like a 4th rounder. Your 3rd rounder needs to play like a 3rd. Your 2nd needs to play like a 2nd. And your 1st round pick needs to be instantaneous, like solid player for you. Right? But we might have to be making up several drafts or ensuring that the next couple drafts don't stink. And if you can do that by trading Marvin Harrison back and still having a shot at 3 or 4 guys here, Keon Coleman down to Bowie, Ibuka would probably still be blue chip. So there's 4 guys there. 3 guys, 2 or 3 guys here 3 guys here that you would still be worthy to getting as a blue chip. 1 guy here. 2 guys here. Maybe 1 there. None there. I think I have Jerzon, Mason Smith. I'm higher on Mason Smith than most, but point being is that he's you got 1 here definitely, and then probably like 2 guys here with McKinstry and Cooper DeJean. I have Kalen King in there, but I'm gonna move DeJean up again. Point being, let's go back to the draft. We got 6 people calling. If the Tennessee Titans want to give me that's not bad. Yeah, I was going to say it's probably going to be, but maybe let's see if that happens. Right? So we'll still get a blue chip. Still get a blue chip. Right? Still going to get somebody I like. We'll just say that. Well, you don't know what the Patriots are thinking. But somebody I really like, we can probably still get them. There's just it's too much. There's so much in the draft. And again, we don't know if all these guys are going to come out this year. But this is something we're making this move on draft night. So we know who's in the draft. Assuming all the guys that are in PFF right now are going to be there, I'm going to move back. And I'm going to get 2 more guys for this year. And I'm going to get a whole another first rounder. And I would, I mean, it's just PFF and how they do the value. But I wouldn't be opposed to, like, you know, this, and then two firsts. 2025 and 2026. But if we want to get something this year, that's fine. Right? And then a little bit more next year. Stuck on how many? So, Jared Verse still on the board. Keon Coleman still on the board. Still got tackles. Still got okay, so JC Latham. Kingsley still be there. So I can still pick up a tackle with 36. Wide receiver. I think the edge might be the issue. QBs. Probably pick up in the second. This is actually quite hard. Joe Alt's probably the better move. Still got Marius Mims there. Wide receivers, how they shaken up. Should have shot at Brendan Rice. I'll do that. Easily. So, do we go after... Edge is going to be a problem at some point. Picking up that edge guy is going to be a problem. I'm actually kind of even considering doing a Marius Mims. Guy's good. Can still pick up Kingsley. So let's go after actually JJ. I could have done Michael Pratt. Forget it. Don't worry. No, you know what? We need to go after... Brendan Rice. Still got Troy Franklin out here. Torrey Horton or Troy Franklin. Actually, I'm going to go with Troy Franklin. And now we could start doing... I could have gone after Roman Wilson, too. Troy just seems to be a little bit more of a... go after Kamara. That's a good idea. Safety at Jaden Hicks. Thank you very much. Cooper Beebe, thank you. He won't be there. Yeah, that was not right. Yeah, he wouldn't be there. He's not going to be there. Kate Stover, and that's it. So, again, I'm going to point out a couple things. You're going to hate the fact that I traded away Marvin Harrison Jr. I think, I mean, I would have wanted something different. But let's talk about the fact that we got another first-round pick for one player. We got 2 first-round players for one, right? We didn't lose our first round. We still got Joe Alt, which, to me, not a big deal. We got him in the 10th pick. We could have picked several other guys there as well. That wasn't that risky. Still had Keon Coleman on the board. I think Odunze was still there. Jared Verse was still there. Plenty of guys that are still first-round quality guys that we could use right then and there. Right? Plenty of wide receivers, several tackles. If you wanted to pick J.J. McCarthy, probably could have still done it at 10 too. Not a big deal. Nothing was lost. Now, did we lose a chance of getting a really good wide receiver? Yes. But we're still, the idea here is we're building a team that is approaching a pitfall. Think about a year or two down the road, and also this year, because it's not like we gave up everything for next year or the following year. We just added on the ability to get a first-round pick plus 2 more picks here. Now, let's just take a look at the guys we picked up at 110 and 147. There's the safety that we might not have been able to get. He's a solid safety. Very good. We could probably pick up even more, but that's, again, you can get that UDFA. You can also get maybe another corner that can double as a safety. Jane Hicks probably being a little bit bigger. That's the assumption that Phillips and or Duggar are gone. So you have to pick up a little bit larger. But if you want one of those free safety guys, you can probably find a few of those guys later on. Now 147, that's getting up a tight end. Right? Now, Cooper Beebe is probably your best guard in the whole draft. It's disingenuous picking him, but I did because, hey, he was there. I probably could have picked up another guard or just about anything, really. Could have picked up another different tight end or a linebacker or edge player. Notice I didn't pick up any edge players. But now, here, let's also talk about this, which is, hey, Brendan Rice, if he is in the 3rd round at 6, he was at, what they have, 90 something. That's a little, I don't believe that. But Brendan Rice is a comprehensive wide receiver. You can put him in any position. He has potential to be a really solid wide receiver one, just like his father. I don't think he's going to be, his father was very good, but he's also, his big thing was his, durability. I like that idea because it's the same genes. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, and then Troy Franklin's a physical freak. Super speedy, could just cuts through defenses. Just another guy to pick up. I think that them two, getting both of these guys is probably a little bit more of an impact than just getting Marvin Harrison Jr. Right? I'd rather have 2 bodies right now than 1. And who knows? What's the next year give you? Right? If you want to shift it down, we probably could have picked up a wide receiver here for the 110. Let's just say that. So, we picked up a chance of getting 1 more wide receiver. What happens if we can pick, Titans, you can pick, a really good edge player or maybe a quarterback next year or something in the 1st round. J.J. McCarthy, this is a good deep draft. Getting him in the 2nd, that's the value. That's what I think we can do this year. Trading back and getting more value. If someone wants to pay up to get a chance to get one of those really, really good players, go right ahead, because there's going to be guys up here that are like, let's take... Yeah, a lot of these teams would be like, we'll give you the world for... Let's see if we... what happens if we do get Marvin Harrison again? All right, so let's try this. What team is a 1 player? Yeah, Chargers? Maybe not. Seahawks would be a good team. The Falcons at 11 are probably not far off if they can get, like, say, Marvin Harrison Jr. It's not gonna be that big of a difference, though. I'm only going one further back. Let's just do 15. Not too much value. I would want a first next year, but maybe arguably two firsts basically this year. See that? Well, yeah, maybe that's something you could do because you're getting. That's not too bad. Let's just see what that does. Probably could have got more out of it. Let's just see. Here we go. I can still pick up Jared Verse. So there's the edge problem, because I think the edge is going to dry up earlier, and then, oh my gosh, you're probably freaking out. But see, that's the thing. We just picked up two things I think are going to dry up a little bit quicker than you think. So do I go after JJ McCarthy? Yeah, so this would be another situation where I can do JJ McCarthy, right? Try to make this quick here. Barrett Carter is not a bad one. I think he's fringe first rounder too. Getting him at 66, and Benson's a second, third rounder, but picking him up it's early third, but still. But I think we got to go with getting our tackle off the board no matter what, and that'll give us a shot to maybe make some other moves later on. Hold on, let me just check who we have. Brendan Rice. So tackle. Need to pick up a good tackle, which I think there's plenty of them, right? We still have Guyton. Still have Kingsley Sumataya. Probably a little more on the D-tackle side. Linebacker, I think there's going to be some guys later on in this draft that'll probably be a little bit. What do they have? Do they have Peyton in there? Junior Colson at 121 is a good pickup. Jalen Ford, Cedric Gray. Yeah, so there's still plenty of guys in here. Him is a possible fringe first rounder in my opinion. I mean, he's one of the best linebackers in the whole draft. It's kind of hard to walk away from that. I don't think he's having a great year this year. Yeah, last year he was a stud. So much he's lined up in slot last year? That's nuts. It's nuts. Not as good of a year this year. Oh, he's got more receptions than I thought he did. Not great hands, but... Sorry that I'm taking so long, but this is analysis paralysis. Yep, so still pick up here. Oh, no. Tight end. Holker, perfect. I actually like him a little bit better in a way. Still missing like a going to get corners. That might be Cooper DeJean might be a better pick. Probably bad. Oh no, they gave me a decent grade on the draft. But notice we got the edge. Yeah, and this would make people would be up in just flipping out. But this would be a good draft. Plenty of wide receiver depth later on. Good pass catching tight end. A D tackle that can play up and down the line, multiple different positions. I should probably go into Michael Hall a little bit more. I'm sorry, I should have done that. Good. I mean, probably your best. I think he's probably this year the best running back in the draft. I know Braylon Allen's probably up there too, but and Braylon Allen might be even better option for us. But Benson's explosive. Guy's fast. I don't know about his pass protection. I don't know about his blocking ability. I'll be honest with you there, but apparently he can catch the ball. He's a guy who once the ball's in his hands, you're in trouble. So I like those type of players. So, and that might have been one of our few kind of vanity picks there, but again, just picking up guys that need to be replaced because again, we don't know what Judon. We think about how many sacks we've had. I might have to go look up that stat. I should have prepared with that. Think about how many sacks we've had without Uche being, well, Uche was out for a bit, but Dietrich Wise not being, as good as last year, and Judon not, being there, probably who really unlocked Uche and Dietrich Wise last year anyways. But if we don't know if Judon comes back and he's going to be as good as he's supposed, we're in trouble. You're going to need if your defense is going to be anything impactful, you picking one solid defensive player early in the draft is probably a smart thing to do. And Cameron Kinchins is one of the best safety prospects in a very long time. Getting both of them, I don't know. That's a steal. And then you get J.J. McCarthy, who could, probably would, even though he's a second rounder, look where he is. He's 36. Would probably displace Mac Jones. You got good Tyler Guyton's good at, he's left. Is he left or right? I think he was right last year. I think he's at left this year. But 6'8", big dude, super fast. Or he might be 6'7", but very fast feet. Very good getting to the next level. Trey Benson, again, being explosive. Brendan Rice being a solid wide receiver. And then picking up another defensive player, but we need defensive tackle depth. And this guy plays all along, and he's good both in terms of rushing the quarterback, getting sacks, disrupting the backfield, but also holding his own. And the guy even plays kind of a linebacker role. He kind of gets like a weird Micah Parsons going, or Micah Parsons. No, Micah. Yeah, I think he goes by Micah, but Micah Parsons. And then Dallin Holker, good pass catching tight end. That's a good pick at 141. Anyway, I'll end it there. Take home. You You could do a straight draft, and it would be fine. Oh, now we're finally in the third. They updated us. We're here. What do we do? If we did go straight, like who? I mean, it's hard. Say no one was really looking to give us two firsts for him, or a whole bunch of what we asked for. You could still go through this draft and still get plenty of talent, right? Still pick up a Tyler Guyton here. We don't know. I mean, Tyler Guyton might be gone by the end of the first round or end of the second round, but there'd be at least a tackle there. Still pick up a Michael Hall Jr., right? Braylon Allen might have been a good pickup there too, but whatever. Plus, pick up one of these guys. Dallin Holker. You can also have an edge. Nelson Caesar's a good edge player. James Williams is an interesting safety I would look at. Jaheim Bell, Cade Stover, all these guys. Will Shipley's a good halfback to consider as well. I think we're gonna, in this case, I'm gonna say it again. Cooper Beebe's not. He's gonna be gone by the second round. But if he is there, I'd have to go with him. But Smail Mondon's good coverage linebacker. Still got plenty of options here, depending on what happens in the offseason. But I'm assuming one of the tight ends is gonna have to happen, right? Plus, he's a good pass catching target. So what happens if we have, another Gesicki type receiver on the team and tight end / receiver? Maybe we would go with Cade Stover there if we wanted more of a traditional guy. But that's a solid draft. Didn't have to do any. I mean, that would transform your team. Michael, although not in traditional edge, he has played out that wide, at least over the tackle, okay, or outside the tackle. And like I said, he's played upright in the middle, so like almost like a linebacker before. So, very interesting player. All right, I'm going to end it there. I hope you guys at least found this entertaining. But take home here is this is going to be a transformative draft. I know I keep saying that in most of my previous videos, but here's the other thing. The pitfall, excuse me, the pitfall that is approaching, which is basically another like reset at some point in the next 3 or 4 years. You have to start having several drafts in a row to absorb the losses and also allow you to position to make those big free agent moves when you finally have a good base. The good base kind of has to come from signing some free agents that you want to come back. Your guys, they come back this year. Get that core group. Have a good draft. Hoping that like some of the guys, these previous drafts the last couple of years still have, some growth in them, especially this previous draft. Hopefully we don't have to go get a guard. Hopefully we don't have to go get, a kick returner because here comes, Isaiah Bolden shows up. He's still good. He can play some corner for you. Who else would be another guy? I mean, Douglas continues to develop. Maybe Booty is, a guy who can be your third or fourth receiver. Maybe for some reason, Devontae Parker and Juju Smith-Schuster show up next year healthy and ready to go. You get something. I mean, there's some hope there, which I know, like I said, is not an investment. So that's why you have to start doing moves like this. Maybe you can find a way to get rid of Devontae Parker for like a 6th round pick in this draft or a 7th round pick, right? Someone might be able to use him properly. We can't because we don't have a quarterback that can throw that far with the rock. And can I tell you something? I know people might think that I've been on this like leading the charge of just getting rid of Mac Jones. If I actually watched those previous videos that I did on his throwing mechanics, I would always say, beginning and end of those videos, those are our addressable problems. He doesn't necessarily have just a dead arm. His reactive arm is like the reactive part of it, like his springing is not that terrible. It's actually technique-based stuff. And it's, yes, the footwork, I was driving on the footwork beginning of this year, and in the second video I did on it, I was pointing out that it got worse this year. That starts there, but it's his body action and his arm slot and a lot of other things, like his not using his left side. Those can be taught. He's still young. If there's anybody out there, just listen. The guy can still do it. I'm not saying that, like, I would not want to draft a quarterback this upcoming season and, going in there saying, oh, Mac, you could still win this. Like, I think he needs to prove that he can develop on himself, and he's not automatically given that idea that, like, hey, if we draft a quarterback, we're probably going to be looking to replace you. But Mac could still be a quarterback if he just does the work. And I'm not saying he needs to be, he needs someone to tell him that he needs to do something different, dramatically different in how he throws. And the footwork and the off-season strength and conditioning program needs to be absolute number one. Has to be. He needs to transform aggressively. Because he's not an idiot. And needs to gain some confidence back. And if he knows his body is different and it can do things that he's not able to do before, maybe that brings him back. That's for him, not for us. That's for that guy. The guy I don't like seeing him completely defeated. As a fan, I don't like seeing young men completely defeated and realizing that it's over, even though it's not. You could still do it. Anyway, hope this was at least educational, fun, gets you thinking that, hey, like, the time is now. To not necessarily for next year, but even if you want to be successful in 2 or 3 years, it's got to start now. Got to build the base, avoid the pitfall again. Because this capitulation should have been thought about 2 years ago. When you unload, get rid of guys that are going to want more money, that are not developing anymore. Get rid of them when there was still some value left. Now you're looking at guys who lost their value. You can't get rid of them anymore, and you have to let them walk. And you lose the value. The capitulation of value lost on your roster is at an all-time low. For a lot of reasons. But when things are good and they're not growing anymore, and you know they're not growing, you get rid of it at least a decent market value and before the intrinsic value really falls apart. We did not do that. You need to start thinking like that. Anyway, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this content, as always, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.